All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Chasing Edges podcast. I got my guy, Sean Hayes here, Director of Strength and Conditioning for the WWE, an absolute savage human. He coached me as an assistant strength coach with the Houston Texans, got a great story, but he's also making some savages out there for everybody to watch and entertain us on the main stage and under the bright lights. But Sean, thanks for joining, brother.
Hey, happy to be here, man. It's been a while since we got together, so I'm happy to do it, man. It's looking forward to it. I heard a couple of them already. I don't know if it's going to be as good as Kush, my man Body, but hey, I'm happy to be here, man.
Yeah, but we got the boys on there though. That's the word I want to spread, just because like we lived a lifestyle and we were talking about it real quick, like the Chasing Edges concept. Like I saw that in Maudi. I saw it in Kush, and then dude, you were training us and training with us and down in Houston, which was electric. And then obviously we became boys, but like that whole culture is what I want to try and push out with the podcast too. So like that's where I'm gonna get every one of the boys on here when I can.
No doubt.
Yeah. But dude, so how I usually start these off is asking like what are you curious about right now? Where are you chasing edges? What are you learning? All that stuff.
Yeah, so right now I kind of made it a thing back in, it was December. I went to the annual, it was kind of like the LA Dodgers kind of look inside their strength and conditioning symposium was what they call it, the S&C symposium. And we went there in December. I went there with Tim Karen, who's he's the owner, co-owner of Allegiant Gym out in LA. So we went out there to the Strength and Conditioning Symposium at LA Dodgers, and man, it was a two-day event. And the amount of information that we got in there, something just clicked to me when I was sitting there, and they were talking about force plates. They were talking about any player management workload surveys, things that I know that I could use. I know this. I've seen force plates before, but I wasn't using them at WWE. I know I was listening to them talk about workload management surveys as far as like how hard their individual players were working. Something simple that any of us could do as coaches, but I wasn't doing that. And while I'm at the symposium, it clicked on me. I'm like, man, I got a chance here and coming up here in the new year to do these things. So what I kind of made it, I made it a point to get back. I fought with some of my bosses to get force plates in there with the WWE. We implemented a workload management survey, and we just really kind of going the route of the more data you have, the better decisions you can make. So those are the edges that I'm chasing now. Still, I heard a quote saying that Tim Karen, he was actually speaking at the event, and he said, and this really kind of clicked to me. He said, being a juice guy is a nebulous term. And when I heard that, I was like, man, that's me, like I'm a quote unquote juice guy. And what he was saying is it's not bad to be a juice guy. What he was saying is when you have to give results to your superiors, or whether you're training Gen Pop, whether it's the athletes you're training, or whether you're with the Texans, where you got to give results to the general manager and the owners. It's not enough to say, hey, how is so-and-so doing? How is Brian Peters doing? In the past, it was, yeah, Brian's killing it. Brian's doing great, man. He's coming in here. He's absolutely crushing it. And like, that's all great, but it was no more of like the times of that. You can't get judged by that, because that's a nebulous thing. And I was like, man, that's kind of like the route I'm at right now. Like I answer like that when my bosses ask me how someone's doing. That's how I answer the question. So it kind of really just dawned on me right there that I had room to make a change, and not so much a change. Like I'm still the same guy. I just wanted to chase those edges as far as getting more objective measures, so that not only do my bosses know if we're getting better, but the talent know, the individual roster, the individuals on the roster know whether or not they're getting better. And then, so that's kind of like the route that I'm really excited about. We're about 2 months in right now down in Orlando, Florida, and it's going really, really well. but I would say like that right now for me is kind of direct. I'm kind of like got my focus on right now, and it's going really well.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm a big believer, like you can't measure what you don't track. And like some of that's subjective. Like some of that's like, how am I feeling? Am I sore? Like those kind of things can be different person to person. Then obviously like the metrics you'll always track. I know you track those like the gospel, where it's like I'm making these improvements strength wise and that kind of thing. But I've had some interesting conversations about this actually on the podcast too, where like Anthony Schlegel, he was the head strength coach for the Jags. He's a buddy of mine. And he's like all trying to, like his big thing now, which is what you're getting at as well, is like, what is the minimal effective dose for certain things too? Like what is the right recipe to not only keep guys healthy, but to maximize. And that's always going to be a moving target to some extent, but you got to get the information some way, some shape, how, and then pass it along.
Oh, it's great. And different athletes are going to react differently. So, you might, like, I'll give you an example. We got a guy we have a 2-time All-American collegiate wrestler from Duke who's doing really well right now down in NXT. He's, they just won, him and his brother they're a tag team, and they just won the Dusty Cup. And if I look at his numbers, this guy's like, you can really push him as far as what his data is showing, that he's not really tanking. He's kind of rising consistently, each week, and that's hard to do in it. We're an in-season sport. And then you take some other people, and you can see them dip, and then you might have to bring them over and say, hey, see how you dipped here on this jump? Let's change our workout plan a little bit today. Let's go over to the pitch yard. So it's different for each person, but without seeing the real-time data, you're really kind of just guessing. And that's where I felt like, I'm really fortunate to have worked under guys, like Fitz and be around smart strength coaches like the Karens of the world, Tim Karen, Joe DeFranco of the world. But really, and you can make really good educated guesses like, hey, they just got done with a game. Let's give them maybe a recovery workout. So you can make those educated guesses, but at the end of the day, you're still kind of guessing without the data. So it's really cool to see the data there real time and be able to make those decisions, on a day-to-day basis. And that's kind of like where it's exciting me. It's kind of getting me kind of jacked up right now. And I'm excited of where it's going. And it's almost like, man, I can't believe I haven't been doing this stuff sooner,
Yeah.
But I'm sure glad I went to that symposium out in LA and it kind of like, things kind of done, like clicked for me. It was almost like, hey, I kind of lit a fire under me a little bit, I guess,
Yeah, for sure. And like, that's I don't really use those things either. And like, I've never used the force plate. My understanding of it is obviously like, it's like almost like a vertical jump concept. Like that's the force that you're putting into the mat. But it's the same thing as like the tendos, like we use those with the Texans, and then like those real-time results. And the more I'm learning about velocity based training now, Schlegel and Eric Lichter got me a taste of it. Now it intrigues me. Yeah.
If I'm telling you right now, Brad, you need to get on the VBT train. I'm telling you. So when we were with the Texans, we would only like throw that tendo unit on there, maybe on strength or dynamic days, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it was a speed squat day and we would throw it on there. But one of the things I got from the symposium and going over to Allegiant is that you don't necessarily need to have it just on dynamic days. You can use it for every day, so right. Where we're at with NXT, we got 4 training days. We do 2 lowers, 2 uppers. One of those lowers is one of those days is a strength day, and one of those days is the dynamic day. But we use the speed device. We don't have a tendo, but we use the speed device on every main lift of the day. And it's just like, if you're a dynamic day, you want to be in this range. If you're on a strength day, you want to be in this range. And I'm telling you what, as soon as you put that thing on and you have to hit a certain range, your effort is just like exponentially more, in my opinion. I mean, you're fighting not only the weight to get up, but you're trying to reach that level of that bar speed. And I feel great, man. And what it really does too is, if let's just say, whether you're at a field sport or even where I'm at in WWE, the whole idea is to be explosive, right? So even though you're working strength, you can work explosive strength. So everything has a purpose now. And it's not only are you working on that, but you can kind of take care of the athletes as well. Like let the speed of the bar tell you what weight to use.
Yeah.
You know, how many times have you gone in Northwestern or whatever team you're in and say, hey coach, what weight should I use today? You know, and it's like, I don't know, man, how do you feel? Well, the speed of the bar is always is what's helping us down in NXT. Like that's kind of determining for us what to weight to use. If it's, hey, if I said to you to keep the bar speed over 0.5 meters per second and it's going 0.8, like, yeah, go up, you know? And so that I'm telling you, if you haven't fully committed to it yet, you'll love it. It's and plus it takes your mind off doing the weight, you know, so long all we've done is, oh, okay, I got to beat that weight I've always done. Well, now you're beating time. And if you need a connect, I got this company out in Spain, Vitruve. It was $400, man. So it's simple. It's a small cube. It's much smaller than a Tendo. We got 5 of them down in Orlando, and we're rock and roll with them, man. They're working out really well for us.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, there's a lot of things that I like. One, just like tangibilizing the intangible, like how do I feel, what weight I should do, which is going to change day to day, central nervous system, whatever you want to say. But like, and because we do that with like mental skills and Mind Strong, like we try and tangibilize, like obviously like a lot of mental skills don't always like, did it work? I think so. Like trying to eliminate those I think so's or the gray areas. And that's what that does. Like now I know what speed I need to hit, but then the powerful thing you said to me is the another level of intention it brings. And like, I've been working on that a lot with myself, like anything in my life, like every breath I take can be intentional. And so like for me, I know the benefits of the nose and I know like how to train it. So like now I can be intentional with this. Like how much of my life can I make super intentional? And like, I know when like a weight's going to be hard. So like that becomes intentional, or I put chalk on my hand. So I know that's more intentional. But like, how much can I bring into consciousness? But like, I really like the idea of putting that on for every lift. Like that makes sense to me because now I know the range I need to hit. And then now like I mean, like, you know how like lifts are, especially heavier lifts or reps of 5, whatever ends up being, like you're trying to get 5 reps. It's not like I have this intention every rep to be explosive. Now you can kind of tangibilize like what is your max effort every time, or like on top of doing the weight, now you know you're going as hard, or you have the intention behind it, where it just makes it more of a control. And I like that a lot. I think that's built for like anybody that wants to eliminate those, like, because like obviously even like on the days that you don't feel like training, you might have more in the tank than you feel like you do. And now you can like, again, get more out of yourself, or like you're truly burnt out. And today's not my day to hit weights, but I can stay in this range and go hard. Like, I don't know. I like that a lot.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that I've noticed, like I said, we're about 2 months in with all this kind of data intake. You know, bar speed was a change for us, was one of those changes along with the force plates for us. But one of the things I love about it is the conjunction with the force plates, right? So let's just say I get you on that force plate, you do your vertical jump. It's going to tell me how in relation are you from your last jump, right? So you're a certain percentage up or down from your previous jump. Now, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get the athletes not to freak out if they're down, because you see down in red. I don't care if it's 3%, like it's nothing. But if you're down, they're going to be like, oh man, no. What I'm trying to get them to do, and it's for myself too, because I get on them, is like if I'm trying to let that force plate make better decisions for you when you get to the rack, and then combine that with the bar speed. So let's say I'm down in my percentage of the jump. Let's say I didn't get great sleep the night before, or I had a match the night before and I'm tired. So it makes sense. Well, okay, I take that force plate out. It's telling me that I'm a little bit down. Well, then I go over to the rack. I'm still going to train. And then if I know I got to get a bar speed, let's say my speed has to be above 0.4 meters per second on bench press, and that thing's moving at 0.3, I know that because of my force plate, because of this bar speed, now I can make a better decision for me I just lighten the weight and I can still be above my range. So it's like, it's using different pieces of information to make a better decision while you're in the rack. And that's what I really got, was the really bring home topic for me, was the more information you have, the better decisions you can make. And if not only looking at that force play, like I'm up or down, like, oh, I suck or I'm doing good today. It's okay. I'm going to use that while I'm go over here. And I'm going to use that knowledge that the force play gave me. And then the spar speed is going to tell me some more knowledge. Now I'm like, I'm making the best decision I can make for my body inside the rack. And I'm not just working out. And I'm not just mindlessly going about it. So if you use that stuff in conjunction with each other, now you really got some magic, I think. And that's what we're trying to, it's hard because this is very new to our NXT guys and it's very new to me, but we're learning as we go, and it's working out well for us. I'll give you an example. We had a big show Tuesday night. It was called Vengeance Day. It was the day after Valentine's Day. Big show for us, NXT on the USA Network. I had a planned workout of the guys that were on the show. They were going to do a recovery style lower body workout when they got in. We get them on the force plate just to see where they're at, I just say, you know what, why don't you just jump on? Well, some of the guys jumped higher than they did the previous on Monday. So, and they were feeling good, and you can kind of get, you see it in their eyes. They're like, okay, yeah, I feel good. Then they start hitting their squats, and I'm like, all right, well, go in the rack when their speed starts moving it pretty good. And then, all right, they go for it. And we had heavy twos that day, and we had guys, crush it on twos. But what my point is you didn't have to just blanket statement them and put them on a recovery workout. And what that reminded me of is when you guys would play the Titans versus the Colts.
Yeah.
When we played the Colts, Andrew Luck was throwing the ball a lot. Yeah. And the linebackers didn't really have a whole lot of bang, bang, bang. And when we played the Titans, it was a different story. It was bang, bang, bang for you guys in that linebacker crew. And it might have not been as much as heavy on the DBs, on the J. Joes and the Kareem Jacksons of the world. But when we get there on a Monday, why just say if you played in the game, take it easy? Now you can treat everybody like an individual and say, okay, maybe I can get a good squat session out of Brian Peters today and Brian Cushing, because look, all they did was the ball was snapped and they did a hook drop and ran to the sideline. T.Y. Hilton usually had the ball in his hands, but you can make it more. You can let the data kind of tell you, be your, it says, as opposed to just guessing there. And I thought that was really cool. And that's kind of like what because think about it. In the long season, you got to take the good days that you got to capitalize on them. Because you're going to have crappy days. You're going to come in there on Monday and you're going to be sore and you're going to be limping. You're going to have an easy workout. So in the days that you feel good, you got to capitalize on it. So those are just things that kind of help us make better decisions as far as that. I thought that was a really cool parallel with how we used to do it in the NFL and how I saw it down in WWE,
Yeah, it's chess, not checkers. And then it's all, you have all those variables that we didn't used to be able to account for. And then now we have metrics that cover that. And so now it's training smarter, not harder. And then even in scenarios where injury and things are like that, they are relative and maybe a guy wants to go, you can be just smarter across the board. So that's invaluable. And because now you have a chance to optimize a guy that is fine and then also restrict a guy that's not. And I just think that'll end up going a long way. And obviously it goes a long way for you because this intrigues the hell out of me because you train such a wide range of athletes now, men, women, different sizes, 2-time All-American wrestlers to guys that have never probably lifted a weight at some point. They're just big and have enthusiasm. I don't know. But all that. So now it gives you a lot of tools and a lot of opportunity to train each person properly, I think.
Yeah. That's probably the coolest part of my job is the fact that it's just a wide variety of athletes, and it's nothing stale. You got to keep you on your toes. I love football. I grew up playing it. You know that. I was a former linebacker as well. But you never kind of know, if you always stay in football, you never know what else is out there. And I'm so glad I kind of got to experience this job and experience the other type of athletes there are out there, because hey, there's some badass dudes and women in their own right down in the WWE. And it's like, man, it's pretty cool to be able to work with them. When the other thing is, when we were in the NFL, it was cool to be around you guys because you made it to the NFL, and I always kind of wanted to make the NFL, so I was like, oh man, this is cool. You guys are NFL players. But when you talk about coaching you guys up, you knew a lot of things. You went to Northwestern, you were a four-year player there, great strength staff there. A lot of these guys coming from Division I programs, and even if they're below Division I, they still had 4 years of college where it was a good strength and conditioning program. They're kind of like well versed in that area, so there's not a really whole lot of like coaching going on to the JJ Watts and the Brian Cushings. It's more of like just making sure that they kind of stay right and they don't get hurt.
Yeah.
When you get to the WWE, man, like I got to coach again, and it was really cool because, like you said, some of these guys never lifted before, and they didn't really know how to do it. So it was very cool to see that impact, to have that impact on some of the athletes in the WWE. And I'm talking about the people that have been wrestlers their whole life, 10 years, 15-year career. They finally get signed to the WWE, and bam, like they're excited, and they come to the Performance Center, but they don't know how to properly train. They've never had a strength coach. They've never had a college lifting program. So that part was pretty cool for me to do. And some of that I still get to do. I know, lately there's been a change of going out towards a little bit more of the college athletic field. But man, I got to put my coaching hat on a lot, and that was cool too. And it just gave me a whole lot of respect for athletes other than football players.
Yeah, massively. And again, you're dealing with all different kinds. And like another cool thing is you're dealing with all different ages too. Like you might have had a guy that's been grinding for 10, 15 years and then he gets his shot, or you have these young green humans that are just like hungry too. So like you're dealing with all these mental states, and then like obviously recovery states too. And I think that the cool thing about your sport is that like you guys are pretty much on all year round, correct?
Yeah, we're 52 weeks a year, man. As soon as they got done with Elimination Chamber in they were in Saudi Arabia yesterday. As soon as they get done, they hop on a plane. They got Monday Night Raw, coming up here tomorrow night. So same thing with WrestleMania. WrestleMania Sunday night, Monday Night Raw is the next day. It's a nonstop thing. People ask me, what's the difference? Football or NFL, football, WWE. In football, there's that one big car crash every 7 days. Boom. You're going to get hit. You're going to walk out. You're going to be feeling like crap on Monday. In WWE, it's the consistency. It's like, it's the consistent plane rides. It's the consistent hitting the bumps. It's on the mats. It's every single week. It's consistently, and it like tacks on. So it's, I don't know like who takes a bigger brunt. They're both really physically demanding in their own right and punishing on the body. It's this one, WWE, you got to really love it, man. You got to really love it because it's a different animal going year round. You guys get that 3 month off, and I know a lot of you guys are training, but you don't have the pads on. You can kind of sit back and relax. And to see the body language in some of these athletes week after week, still coming in and still working on their craft, it's pretty awesome to see, man. And but yeah, that's truly a remarkable thing that some of these athletes they're able to do. Recovery is a huge part of it, making sure they do mobility, making sure that we always foam roll, making sure we always work on certain taking care of the knees, the ankles, the hips, all those things, the shoulders, making sure we have time for cool down, making sure we have, never rushing to warm up. all those things kind of play into it. It's a lot of micro dosing of that stuff. And so, but yeah, it's pretty awesome to see, man. I've been fortunate to work with a wide variety of athletes.
Yeah, dude, that's I mean, I'm always a believer that like the discipline is the path to longevity. So like anybody in any sport needs to have all those like micro doses and attention to detail to like truly be successful. But then, yeah, dude, like that year round banging multiple days a week, like I have massive amounts of respect for wrestlers. And then like, I don't even know what it feels like to be slammed on a mat kind of concept either. So like, I think people rush to conclusions sometimes with the wrestling world. One, just the banging and the wear and tear and like the injuries and sometimes the blood that gets spilt, whatever it ends up being, like that kind of thing. People sleep on that, but they also sleep on like the athletic side of that, where like you're training these guys like athletes, like professional athletes. And like now the demanding of the beating, like now they got to recover like pros. So I think you're a really good fit for the position because like you have the experience, and then now you get to apply not only the football experience, but like you've seen some of the recovery habits in pro football, and you can translate that. But not really a question there, but like the idea behind that is massive when you think about programming. And like obviously like that's why I think the metrics are dynamite for your world and that kind of thing. But as far as like the athletic side of the sport, I'm not asking you to compare anybody to Jadeveon Clowney or Hopkins or anything like that, but like how are the athletic markers, overall athleticism? I know you have different shapes and sizes and stuff, but like, and like I haven't watched a massive amount of WWE, but like what I have noticed is that like it looks like the athletic component has gone up pretty drastically from when I grew up watching the Undertaker and Hulk and everybody, and then even with the women seems like a massive jump. Can you go into that? Like what's like the athletic measures, like requirements, all that stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, when we were watching it, we grew up watching it, you know, the Hogans, the Savages, you know, like you mentioned, it wasn't a really whole lot of acrobatic moves. And now you flip on the channel and it's like, you see a lot of those acrobatic moves. It's pretty much in every match now. And so you have to, it's no longer like you get an athletic WWE superstar and like, oh, wow. No, it's a requirement now. And so one of the things that we've done recently, and we you know, it takes time to make changes in an industry that's been around for a long time, right? You look at the NFL's been around a long time, so is WWE. But performance and strength and conditioning in the NFL has been around for a while, you know, and they're WWE and strength and conditioning, it's only been around for maybe 6-7 years. So you got to kind of keep that in perspective. We're still in the infancy stages of all these things, all this knowledge, all, you know, everything that the NFL's doing and all these other major organizations we're implementing now, but it's not going to happen overnight. But it takes time to implement some of those things. And what we're implementing is a series of testing. We test for vertical jump, broad jump. We test overhead med ball toss, which I think is a really good athletic component. You know, how far can you throw a 10 or a 20-pound medicine ball? We do a pull-up test. You know, and all these tests are specific to WWE because it requires a certain athletic component that's unique to WWE. Like pull-ups is important because it's an aesthetic quality, right? You know, it's a good measurement of, you know, grip strength, but also body composition. So we do an in-ring shuttle, which is very similar to a 5-10-5, but we do it inside the ring. We do a hurdle test that's kind of, instead of a 3-cone test, we do a 3-hurdle test where we jump over the hurdle, hit the ground, jump back up. So we're doing some WWE specific combine like drills to test our talent for a few reasons. Number one, to see who competes, but number two, to get these numbers in the system so that 5-10 years down the road, when we go out searching for the next WWE superstar, we have numbers to compare them to. Just like you and I had numbers to compare when we were training to go in high school and we wanted to become Division I linebackers. We had measures. We had measurables. Hey, if you want to be a D1 linebacker, you better bench 350 and squat 500. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
And WWE superstars, little boys and girls around the world, they don't have that. But they're going to get that. And if we started that initiative this year, we're going to continue to go down that route, so that when you're a young aspiring WWE superstar, you know that, dang, Bianca Belair broad jump 8 foot 8 inches. Are you kidding me? I mean, how many girls females are jumping 8'8", or Bianca Belair vertical jump 28 inches? We just had two females jump 29 inches this year on the vertical jump.
That's
for guys, Bronson Steiner's broad vertical jump in 38. We had Montez Ford vertical jump at 39. We had Montez Ford broad jump 11.2. We got some really top-notch athletes that the world is just now starting to find out, because they're starting to realize, man, these are top-notch athletes. In the past, it wasn't like that. In the past, there might have been a certain stigma about WWE, but one of my goals is to knock down those stigmas, knock down those walls, say there's no difference between an NXT superstar, a WWE superstar, and an NFL player, or a WNBA superstar. They're all the same. We're all pro athletes. Our bodies, it's a physically demanding sport. We perfect our craft day in and day out, just like you would when you're on the field. You would perfect your hand placement on that bag. You would perfect film study. Our men and women are doing the same exact thing day in and day out at the Performance Center, so that when their number's called and they go to Raw or SmackDown, they have the tools they're able to be superstars. And it's so you ask about the comparison. There's definitely some guys that we have, and females, that still shock me. And if that tells you anything, some of the athletes that I've been around, the Clownies of the world, the JJs, the Cushings, I still go, wow, on a lot of what our men and women can do. And it's just a testament to WWE, and it's a testament to the direction that they're going, and the talent that they're finding. And it's a testament to the athletes out there choosing WWE, knowing that this can be a dang good life. This can be a pretty dang good life for myself. I'm being a WWE superstar is going to be, might not be too bad.
Yeah, no, not at all. And that whole bit is dynamite too, just because, again, it's an art form. Like, I think football is an art form. I think any sport or anything you do where it's like movement and preparation and all these things, and it comes out in a performance or a game, whatever you want to call it, that's where the value's at. And the values, the value in WWE is out of control. I was looking at some interaction, online statistics and views and all those things. WWE is up above major sports. It's just
their social media account is the number. YouTube, a lot of their social media accounts, I think YouTube is the number one sports platform watched on YouTube is WWE. Yeah, they reach a lot. They're the only company that reaches the entire world. Ooh. NFL is popular in America, man, and it's king. Ain't gonna lie. Soccer, football is popular in Europe. It's king. But WWE is the only industry that is watched by the entire globe. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. And there's a lot of parallels. I'm just kind of thinking about some of the things on game days, right? You and Kush, and I'm getting you guys hyped and out there, and you guys are thinking about your plays and you're thinking about what they're going to run. It's the same thing. WWE's, same thing. They're getting ready. They're thinking about being under the lights, reacting to the crowd, shining under, performing under pressure. And it's the same fulfillment of joy, and it's the same heartbreak. You know, you got to deal with the same, you know, like sometimes they get back from the ring and it's their first or second match and maybe they didn't do as well. And, you know, it's like, dang, it's the heartbreak there. That just means they love it, you know, and then to see them out there, to go out and shine at a WrestleMania or shine at a big NXT takeover or Stand Deliver, a big pay-per-view for us, and to see them knock it out of the park, man, you know, and they're just so happy. And it's like those parallels are the same in our sport, and they carry over to any other sport. It's pretty special. It's pretty cool to see. You know, there's really, the more you kind of dissect it and you dive deep in it, there's really no difference, you know, between WWE superstars and any other professional sport superstar.
Yeah, and I think you said it earlier really well, where like because of the grind, like, and you hear that in football professionally, or especially professional football, that like the season's a grind, like that kind of bit. And then like what you said earlier, where like I'm in Saudi Arabia and I gotta be back for Monday Night Raw, like you got to be passionate about it. And like the price is passion, like, and like that's what that keeps you sustainable. And I think that's like powerful in and of itself, because again, like I like the metric where like if somebody is like hurt, like emotionally beat up because they lost or didn't perform as well and those kind of things, like that's truly a metric for like, I know that person gives a shit, like They have a high give a shit factor, they care, and they're gonna learn from it, and they're gonna grow, or they're gonna ask questions and become curious. And like, so like that's where like I don't fully understand like the wrestling performance per se, like the game and the match, but like that world intrigues me. Like alongside like your training, are they training the mental side of the game in that world?
Yeah, you know, they really are. We sit down and watch, or you know, I'm in the weight room, but our athletes, their day consists of strength and conditioning, in-ring practice for 2 hours, and then skull for an hour. So if you break it down, it's videotape or skull sessions, hour, film, strength and conditioning, hour, in-ring work, 2 hours, and then you have character work or promo work is what they call it, for about an hour as well too. So that not that whole day isn't every single day. Some of those are on different days. Yeah. Some of them are on every day. But yeah, the character development, the film study, even the mental side of it. You know, we just did a drill 2 weeks ago in the weight room that we got from the LA Dodgers mental performance coaches when I was out there, and it was the talent, the athletes had to hold the clipboard in their hand, palms up. They had 3 nuts, like nuts and bolts. They had 3 nuts that had to stack on top of each other, flipped on its side, and they only had one chopstick they could use to stack these nuts. And when the music going loud, and it was in conjunction with an arm farm, their arms are shaking and they're racing against their peers, and they're trying to win for their particular group. And then they realize, man, this is hard. If you're shaking, it's impossible to do. So with the debrief on that was a mental performance exercise. The debrief on that was control your breathing, and you're going to be able to control those, stack those nuts. But it really went a long way as far as, hey, where can I fit this in? And then some of the answers that we were getting from our athletes were, hey, before a match, before I got on the microphone in the ring, after a match, how many times was it hard for you to get back down to parasympathetic mode after a football game? Yeah, especially after a win. So how can we control our breathing to get us down and practice on the mental side of things as well? So yeah, it's a full spectrum, man. And diet's important as well. It's a full spectrum thing, and it's come a long way for it to make the leaps that it's had in just a short amount of time. I was hired in 2016, and 6 years for it to be where it's at now, it's pretty awesome to see. It tells you that the company, it's important to the company, and the company knows where its future is. The company's future is right here in Orlando. It's right here in NXT, you know, and they're investing in that by, you know, putting resources into those things, into force plates, into speed devices, into nice, you know, state-of-the-art weight rooms and things like that. So it's a good feeling to have where you're sitting there and you're like, you know, I'm the strength coach. So I'm like, well, yeah, this company, it's an important part for them. And so that's a good place to be. You know, I'm sure not every strength coach out there feels that way about. So I'm very lucky in that regard, you know?
Yeah, that's all that sweet. I love the mental skills exercise, but like, I love what, like, as a whole, like that, dude, like that's a full day, like, or like, that's such a professional, like that is a true professional trying to be professional, you know?
Yeah.
And then like having that demand, I just think it's overlooked. Like, obviously, like it's probably overlooked because like me and you being our age, we grew up knowing what we saw, but we never really knew what went on to it. So that's why I think all the content WWE is good too. And then what they've started to show of NXT and you guys down there training like true pro athletes, all that stuff just gonna compounds. And then
it's tough. It's tough. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's tough because at the end of the day, they're still trying to, you don't want to show too much.
Yeah.
You know, if you and I have a match, we don't want to show that we're training together either, you know? So it's a lot of that. There's reason behind some of that, you know, where it's like, okay, they got to kind of keep some of this hidden.
Yeah.
You know, selfishly, I want the world to see what we do. You know, I believe in it, but there are some things they got to kind of keep under wraps but I tell our roster, man, it's just like we would talk about with the Texans, you know, what matters is inside these walls, you know, but yeah, I think those preconceived notions are starting to kind of, you can see them starting to crumble a little bit, you know, and it helps when guys like Brock Lesnar are your title holder, Bobby Lashley, you know, he did hold the title until recently. It helps when people like Ronda Rousey are in our business, our sport, or Bianca Belair, and so that helps. And I enjoy the fact that I'm down in Orlando and we got a bunch of people that no one knows about yet, and they're just ready. You know what I mean? You're just kind of, you're getting them ready. You're getting them developed as best you can. And then 5 years down the road or 3 years down the road, they're your next Bianca Belair. They're your next Rhea Ripley, or they're your next Montez Fords, or they're the next, you know, and then because now it's like, I was just watching Elimination Chamber. What my mom was visiting this past weekend, and Elimination Chamber was on. And Elimination Chamber is a match where there's five people in the ring. One person starts in the ring and there's 4 pods. So those pods open at certain intervals throughout the match. So you're sitting there wrestling, one pod in, comes out, boom, you're wrestling that person, bam, you're competing here, bam, that pod opens, you're competing here. And at one point in the match, I was watching my mom. She goes, "Did you work with any of these women?" And every single woman that was in that match in the Elimination Chamber came from NXT. And it wasn't that long ago. You know, it was Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss. And it was like, man, that's pretty cool. You know, to stop and think like, yeah, that's heck. This another superstar called Dewdrop. All these people were inside the ring competing at the same time. And so, you know, I didn't even think about it to my mom. She's like, "Hey, you work with any of those people?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually all of them, you know, at some point." So that part's cool. You know, to have a small piece of, you know, it's a small piece of the puzzle, but it is, it's a big piece. You know, I'm reading this book now. It's called MVP Machine, and the LA Dodgers staff told me about this book, and it's about player development in baseball. And when I'm starting to read it, the parallels to any organization, football, WWE, are so strong. It talks about how Moneyball came out And this wave of sabermetrics was like took over baseball, right?
Yeah.
And now the Oakland A's had a competitive advantage because they knew that certain metrics that no other team were taking stats of, they knew that those won games. So they would go out and find players on other teams that weren't being used because of these certain sabermetrics and bring them on the Oakland A's for cheap, and they would win. Because they couldn't go out and be the Red Sox and just buy talent, or the Yankees.
Yeah.
So when that happened, they obviously got really well. They got good, and the movie came out. Everybody, bam. Well, guess what? Secret's out, right? Now everybody uses those metrics, and the book talks about how do teams now get that competitive advantage. What's the next money ball? And the book says it's in player development. And man, it like freaking hit me right there, just telling you, but it's like, I'm reading the book and I'm like, there it is. That's what I'm in. I'm in player development. I just do it with the WWE. How does, whether you're the Texans, whether you're the Dodgers, whether you're WWE, if you want to have a competitive advantage versus your competitor, versus your team, the rival teams, if you get your players better, you're going to win against the other teams, because that's who you now. Of course, there's going to always be free agent signings, and there's always going to be, a trade and drafting well. But you and I have both seen that, where it's like, that can't always be the case. You can't always hang your hat on that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. What's really going to be the biggest competitive advantage is can this team, can this staff develop their players better than that staff? And the book is great, and it talks about how you can do that. It goes into depth of things like that, of using technology and certain things like that. But man, that really hit home with me. Can we develop this talent so well? Can we get them close to the perfect WWE superstar as possible, so that when Vince McMahon calls for them up, they're primed and ready to go? And then not only do they knock it out of the park, but we win as WWE. We're better than our competitors.
Yeah.
We're better than our competitors out there in the world, because WWE isn't the only promotion out there, and it's, wrestling's a huge boom right now. You flip on the TV every night of the week, something's on, some channel has a big promotion on there. And it's like, how are we going to win in this race? And it's player development, and it's it was just cool to read. MVP Machine is the book. I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely going to go on the list. I love the concept in general, because I do think player development's overlooked, and like you can see it in the NFL that it's overlooked. Like you have the owners and you have the players. Like the coaches don't have a union. Like they're susceptible to whatever flow, and like they're just kind of like political machines that like try and keep players in line. Sometimes it's just like they don't have a lot of leverage, and I think there's overlooked as well, because like a great coach can get the most out of X, Y, and Z player. Yeah. And like I see it. My uncle's been a scout for the Yankees for 40 years, and we've talked about this a lot. Like, how do you not miss on draft picks? Like, what's the success rate of draft picks? And like, yeah, you have all your Moneyball statistics and those kind of things, but like what really keeps a player in line, what keeps them on track, what keeps them motivated. And like, that's where I think you're built for the WWE too, because you are a juice man, but you have the mind too to apply out. Like, again, I've just seen you in your zone with DeFranco's stuff or whatever training you're testing and experimenting, and like you're curious. And like, that's what the podcast is. It's chasing edges. It's like, how do I become, like, again, better as a human, but like as an organization? Like, how does my development team, how do I know they're getting the best out of the products that I give them? And if I'm an owner, if I'm a CEO of a company, if I'm anything, like, developing my talent should be paramount. And there should be intention to who's where, and like, and there should be a lot of money behind it too, because like they need resources to like, and then like when you start talking about like your player development and strength and conditioning, does he have every tool he needs to maximize, to like make smart decisions like we talked about? Like, can they recover? Like, do I give them access to recovery tools, red light, the right supplements? Do they have the right education? Like that should be so intentional, because like that's I mean, like it's I don't know what a good like real world example is where like if I'm going to take care of something I'm growing, I don't know, a plant, I don't know, whatever, bad analogy, but yeah, like I want to know that they have everything available to them if they want it. And like that, I mean, like the internet's like that, and the fact that like knowledge is readily available for anything you want to do and anything you want to learn.
Right.
It's the will to learn, and like how do you influence the will to learn? Like that's competition breeds excellence. Like, yeah, he's good, so how do I get better? Okay, that's one way. But now if I have a guru, if I have a motivator, a juicy guy that also has like options for me that I can use and utilize, now time's the only thing and will to learn. So like, that's where I think like I came up with chasing edges while I was playing. After I got cut from the UFL, I still wanted to play football, and like I didn't have a home for a couple months. So like I was like, I got to get better at 10 things. I need to chase 10 edges. And so like I got better at sleep, supplements, training, football. Like I gained weight to switch to linebacker. I did all these things, but I just kept that terminology in my head, in the back of my head for that whole time. And eventually it resulted in this title. But it's truly a mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, you talk about chasing edges and player development, man, like think about it. If you know that Jadeveon Clowney was awesome, right? He was really good at what he did. Really did. JJ Watt, really good at what he did. Like, what is it? Is it because there'll never be another, like they're just, is it because there's that so much better? No, or is it because they do something better than other people?
Yeah.
And let's find out what that is that they do that's really good at. And then that we can start training other people on that, you know? And I think that's the thing, like people get caught up in that, like, well, they got JJ Watt, you know, and that's just why they're so good. You know, like, oh, we got to go find the next franchise quarterback. And I get it. Like, yes, that's important to draft correctly, but what are the best quarterbacks doing? And I think you see it in a lot of quarterbacks, right? They're going to these quarterback schools, and that's why they're so that, you know, they're going to these quarterback camps at a young age. It's because they're figuring out what good quarterbacks do really well, and they're starting to implement those at a young age, so that now they're much more they're going to be much more successful when they get older.
More polished,
right? As opposed to being like, oh man, you know, we got a low draft pick, so you know we should get a franchise quarterback this time around. So I think that's what, you know, and for us, it's like what makes, and that's part of the things of the testing I want to do. What makes a really good WWE superstar good? Yes, there's character involved. Yes, there's personality, charisma that we might not be able to measure, but out of his measurables, what does he do really well? Does he have a, you know, and let's just say in 5 years, it's his vertical jump is good and his in-ring shuttle is good. Well, let's start getting our younger talent that want to do this. And when they get older, start pushing them towards that so that they become the next, they become better than some of these Hall of Famers. And I think that's where coaches and organizations get they don't want to put in the work because they think like they just always do what worked for them. They always, hey, this is just how we always did it. And when you get both on your side, when you have the tradition with the forward facing mentality, that chasing edges mentality, you're going to make magic, because now you know what it's like to work hard, and you know what it's like. You know what sweat equity is. You know what that's like, but also you're not afraid to use this piece of technology because, oh man, what's that piece of technology going to do for me? Like, you're not afraid of that. You attack that, and you go and attack that. And now you got both on your side. You got the relationships, and you got that forward facing, you know, mentality, that chasing edges mentality. And then you combine that, and then that's kind of like where you want to lead your team, or in our case down Orlando, that's kind of like where our culture wants to be, you know. And you know, it's going to take, of course, you're going to get some kickback. Some of the talent are going to be like, oh, why do I need this? Some of the talent are going to look too much into the technology, right? Some of the talent are going to be like, oh man, they're going to study it like a damn test. Hey man, we don't want you, you know, hey, we can still work hard, okay? Yeah. So it's not, you know, you still got to take for what it's worth, But if you can get both to lead in that better decision, right? What we talked about, making better decisions. And then that's all we're trying to do. We're trying, and I feel like, when I talked about earlier in the first of the podcast, when I heard that person say, juice guy is a nebulous term, that's what I was like, all right, that's what that means. I don't want to lose my juice. Yeah. I want to be that. That's what makes me.
That's I just want to be able to, yeah.
Right. I just want to be able to tangibly show the people I'm training and the people that I work for, hey, this guy's either getting developed or he's not. Yeah. And if he's not, what is it? Is it sleep? Is it some of the things we talked about? So yeah, I just think that's really interesting. If you can get both, what do they call it? A fixed mindset is where that the person that's always like stuck in tradition,
yep,
versus
sure.
A growth mindset. Growth mindset, they're always kind of looking to see what they can do better and how to grow. And if you can get the juice mentality combined with the growth mindset, I think you can make some magic.
Yeah, you're gonna make some superstars for sure. Yeah, like that's it's special when that does happen. And like sometimes, like if you are the one like banging through the door, like sometimes the first guy through the wall is the bloodiest. So you're gonna take some hits, but as long as like growth is happening and like the integration of those two worlds is happening, it's massive. And I love the fixed versus growth mindset, because like that's a lot of that too. Like growth mindset is constant curiosity. Like curiosity is vulnerability, because I have to try something new that I've never done before. So it takes some courage. It's a full-hearted approach to this like ability to change the sport for the long term, foundationally, to like give kids something like, not like, how do I become a wrestler? Like it used to be a real question. And now you're putting like metrics, tangible things like, hey, I need to be able to do this, this, and this. So that gives me the capability to do maybe these moves, or then obviously I need character and like charisma and those kind of things. So like, it's just you're making a roadmap to like how to be a superstar. And
yeah, what we're trying to do. And
I think that's freaking cool. And like, obviously like the resistance is what it is. Like, I think like, especially older humans, like you always resist change, and everybody resists change, because like, in like psychology, like basically like you can't fear something you don't know. Like really you're fearing losing the known. And so like now does that make me dated? Does that make me not as valuable or important? So you got to fight that stuff when it comes. But like I think there's no excuses not to keep evolving, because like you again, like you see the sport growing still. And I thought it was big when I was a kid. And like now, like they have metrics. You have metrics worldwide that like trump the biggest sports leagues in the world, in the United States for sure. I don't know. That just juices me up that like you're on the forefront of that, and like you're pounding that door down, because I think the more people that can see the real nature and the profession, the work, the time, the time involved, like 10,000 hours, all that kind of stuff. Like I just think it makes the sport. I mean, just from what I've learned from talking to you now, like now I'm like, maybe I need to get back my wrestling hat back on and start tuning in.
I'm telling you, hey, we're Tuesday nights, NXT, 8:00 Eastern, USA Network, man. Check us out. You're gonna like it. We obviously we got Monday Night Raw on Monday night on USA, and then Friday Night SmackDown. But man, I'm telling you right now, Peters, we got Roman Reigns as the tribal chief. He's the man, bro. He just, the way he walks, the way he talks, he's on a different level. Then you still got superstars like Seth Rollins is still killing it. You got Brock Lesnar's back in the mix, man. You got the women absolutely kill it. Bianca Belair, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, they kill it. They're amazing. And then you got all these you got all these young, fresh faces down in NXT that are just starting to cut their teeth, and they're developing their characters, and the storylines are great down there. And it's like, man, you see a fresh face every Tuesday night. So it's hot right now, man. It's really a fun for the whole family too, which is great. You don't have to, it's very family fun entertainment. And man, it's awesome, right? You got to get back into it. It's cool. Yeah, and come down to Orlando, see it firsthand for yourself, man. That would be great.
Oh, done, dude. Yeah, I got some buddies that always, because they know we're boys, they always chirp me about it. They're like, we gotta go down there, get trained, get in the ring, like do all the stuff. But like, yeah, dude, I'd love to just see you in your environment, because the NXT's it's filmed sometimes at your facility, correct?
Yeah, well, now we film it every Tuesday night at our facility. So except for we do, like we're going to Dallas for WrestleMania, so our big show is going to be in Dallas, but every Tuesday night we're at Orlando. So what we do is we kind of break up the week. So Monday's like a regular training day, Tuesday is our game day, then we get back, the Wednesday's basically our Monday.
Yeah.
So like your guys' was Monday when you came in, that's our lower body day. Then they kind of get back feeling good again on Thursday. Friday, we finish hard the week, and then they have the weekend off. And so then they come back and do it again. So yeah, we got a Northwestern Wildcat coming here pretty soon too.
Yeah.
And
JP Spiv, yeah.
Yeah, Spiv. So I'm excited for him. And Spanos is a guy that I talk to a lot. He's great. He's the strength coach there. But Spiv, he connected me with Spiv, and I didn't no doubt. He's the type of guy that WWE is on the radar, right? So this guy Joe, big time Division I athlete, has a potential career in the NFL. May play, may not. But if whatever happens, he wants to go down this road at the end. And he's got charisma, and he's an athlete. He's got those type of athletic qualities. And when he comes down in here, he knows he's going to be in an environment that trains hard, trains smart, forward thinking, but brings the juice. And then he's going to learn a new craft. You know what I mean? By some of the best, coaches in that craft in the world. And he's going to be able to develop, hone in on his character, hone in on his craft, have some fun down there with us in the weight room, and then eventually, hopefully, be a big time star. And so that's what it's all about. And getting guys like Joe, getting girls like that around the country, so that this is now a viable option for them when they get done. And for anybody, they don't have to be a Division I football player. They can be any type of athlete, any realm. We're looking across the whole world. So it's going to be, I'm excited to get him. Obviously I'd like him to take his football career as far as possible. But when it's all said and done, we're excited to have him,
Yeah. He's an electric factory, dude. I've met him a couple times at Northwestern. He's the man. Yeah. Yeah. Then he just
the Wildcats in there.
Yeah. Get some of the boys rolling.
Yeah.
No, I won't take up too much of your time, dude. That was dynamite. I love learning into that world. I'll get you on again here for sure in the future, but I need to get down there is the goal.
Yeah, man, we'd love to have you, Brian. You come down there in Orlando, and then you come down here in Cocoa Beach. We train at 8th Street. We hit the beach. You see the deal, bro.
Yeah, shout out to the 8th Street gym.
Right.
Yeah, if you're wondering where this video is shot at, Sean Hayes.
Yeah,
in the homegrown gym, nothing but grit, boxing, and sweat. Yeah, the boy's good.
That's it, baby. That's it.
Yeah, dude, I love it, man. Yeah, you got a good setup. I just started getting into the boxing world a little bit with my guy Dustin Myers up here, and it's been intriguing. Our speed bag broke though, and that was my favorite thing.
Man, hey, yeah. You gotta get the Cleto Reyes, man. Them things don't break, man. Them things are those are the best ones to get. Cleto Reyes.
All right, I'm gonna have to hit you up about that. Because I'm gonna get one put up in my garage now, just because like that shows like meditation, but it's also just like the muscle memory and like just the shoulder strength I got from it. Like I liked it a lot. So yeah,
and breathing too, man. When you only got 1 minute, when you only got 1 minute to recover, you're pressed. You have to recover as much as you can in 1 minute. You start to figure out how to breathe. You know what I mean, the right way, and that's to me, that's what I love about it. I love all the physics. Obviously the workout is great, but learning how to breathe and get yourself back to recovered with only 30 to 60 seconds. That's helping any sport,
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking my language. Like I coach breath work professionally now, yeah. And like that's the cool thing where like people like nobody ever really like they tell you to breathe, but nobody coaches you how to breathe. So
right.
Yeah. So like, that's the fun part where it's like, okay, now
get you down to, you need to get you down there and talk to our talent about that too, man. Cause
no,
when let's just say the lights are on and they're excited and they start breathing through their chest, they might, that's potential for, missing spots, missing what they got to do. And it could be a recipe for
thank you.
poor performance.
No, I appreciate you. I'm gonna throw that down. Sorry. It's just, dude, it's super powerful. Sorry, no, I got away from the conversation. Somebody knocked at the door.
Oh, it's all good.
But
yeah, no, seriously, come down and you can help us with breathing and stuff.
Yeah, dude.
I know some of our guys get blown up. That's what they call it when their cardio is not right and they get blown up. It's because they have to look a certain way, like and then they're it's hard for them to control their breathing. So that a lot of those things is I gotta look mad. Man, that gets me blown up. So that might be something that we could kind of work out. We could talk about. Maybe we can get you helping us out.
Yeah, no doubt that it's massive just because there's so much to it. Like I've been down the rabbit hole now for 5 years. Like I found it in Houston in the sensory deprivation chamber, just holding my breath, and saw it show up in my aerobic capacity. But now, like, how do I access like a bigger lung? How do I breathe less? Like if I breathe slower, I have more energy so I can last longer. It leads to like bracing and athletic movements. Like how do I strengthen the diaphragm and the pelvic floor? And then it compounds, like, how do I train aerobically? Like, how do I breathe throughout the day? How do I breathe when I sleep? And all these things compound into like mental clarity. And eventually we give you all these tools to control your state, because that's all you want. Like whether I'm competing or throughout the day and stress and anxiety show up, like how can I get control of my life? And it starts with the breath. And like
You went and taught that at Winter Strong recently?
Yeah, I did primarily like breathing to like prepare people for altitude, but I coach some down regulatory stuff for the ice tub. Like that's our stadium. Like how do I create stress and anxiety in a person? Cold water up to the neck does that. How do I? And then now I teach them what the blowed up feeling you're talking about, oxygen's not the problem. Like getting oxygen out, creating tolerance to CO2, these things are all what solve the problem. But like we give you tools to down regulate in stress, down regulate in high heart rate, all the above. And like, so now you have tools to down regulate, up regulate, increase performance, increase strength, and prevent injury. Like diaphragm and pelvic floor, their primary jobs to align and stabilize the spine mechanically. So like, how do I get those strong? They're hard to train because the diaphragm has no nerve endings. So like it takes some like specialty coaching, but like I could coach you, and now like, so like that's what we do really, is like we coach coaches so they can implement these things. So now like warming up and activating my breath is part of the dynamic. And so now it's like, it's not a time killer. And then now there's meditation. But it's basically mechanical, cellular adaptation. And then meditation is how we coach the 3 pillars of it. So it just leads to this like full realm of how do I be a great human? Like, and then how do I like basically control my state, and how do I protect myself in any position? It starts with the breath. Like ideally, like your firing pattern starts with a strong diaphragm and pelvic floor and the psoas rolling properly. So like all that stuff just compounds. So holler at me. I'll give you as much information as I got. Then if you guys want to come down and get the boy coaching, I'd love that too.
Definitely do. I'm gonna hit you up for that, about that for sure. Because I know for me, I yell a lot, and it's like I don't breathe right, because I know I get headaches sometimes from breathing, from yelling a lot. So it's like I could benefit from it personally, and then because I know I yell over that music all the time, and it's like, damn, I get these headaches. It's like I had something to do with breathing. I'm not getting oxygen in my brain. So
well, like talking, like coaching, like again, this is how do I develop the development staff? Like talking and coaching is just an extended exhale. And so like things like that, like how do I always, like, does it start with my sleep? Like, and then like now for you, like it might be like getting your heart rate down, or managing intra-abdominal pressure, whatever it ends up being. But all these things just lead to like being great humans. Like if you can change your breath, you can change your life, or at least have a shot at controlling your life. And so like really it starts with how you sleep, but then now it's just massive in performance. But like, that's why I love boxing. Like boxing is one of the only sports where breath is tied to movement outside of like yogas and stuff, where like like that makes sense.
Right.
Like, because like the forced exhales bring in an inhale so that my next action is braced. And like, we don't get a chance to brace 100% all the time, but we need to get there to understand the strength and how to isometric contract the diaphragm, all these things that just compound interest. But like, that's why fighting's so cool to me, especially in like jujitsu. But like, if you can't breathe, you can't fight. So let's master the breath. And like, there's long-term benefits to it, higher red blood cell count, oxygenation. But then like now it's just like, it's safety, protection, and now, but like, and it leads to mental clarity. Like, so what you're experiencing where like you get headaches or like when your heart rate's up, like the respiratory rate and everything's like a wind chime. If you lose control of it, you actually lose control of your decision-making in your brain. So like, how do I create as much space from that blowed out point or the dark place in training or like the dark place in my head in general of stress and anxiety? So like breath work is the only thing we can control in the system to do that. And it's massive. It's really cool. We won't go down that whole rabbit hole. We'll get, me and you can talk separately about that, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll wrap up here though, dude. But I appreciate you.
Oh man, thank you, bro. Hey, I love catching up with you, man. I really did, bro. Miss you, bro.
Easy. Miss you too, man. Let me pause this up and then we'll catch up.